Hello everyone, my name is Morgan Zelkovic, and my capstone project is on Starbucks, a company that started out selling coffee beans and its development into a world-renowned brand for customer relationship. In this PowerPoint, I will review Starbucks' corporate strategy and the issues that arise as it pursues it. The corporate strategy that Starbucks is and should be focusing on is the expansion internationally of its business and the intelligence of a new culture throughout all its business processes in order to capture efficiencies and more market share. While this is a great strategy, it is important to note that a major setback and issue is the many conflicts ranging from cultural and ethical to political dilemmas that will impede or freeze Starbucks' attempt to expand. In the following slides, we will review Starbucks' external and internal environments and discuss how each can aid in the pursuance of the corporate strategy and how to deal with the issues along the way. To start off, I will cover the main external environmental factors that Starbucks operates in the coffee shop industry, which produced $45.4 billion in revenue last year. Starbucks' main rivals are Dunkin' Donuts, Peet's Coffee, McDonald's, Tim Hortons, and local coffee shops. As Starbucks pushes its strategy to go international, these rivals will become fiercer and Starbucks will struggle to upheave many of the culturally driven local coffee shops that could already be successful in the markets that it decides to develop in. As will be covered, we will see that the rivals are not the only thing that Starbucks will have issues with as it pursues its corporate strategy. Another important external factor is the threat of substitute product or services, such as homebrewed coffees, such as Keurig machines, espresso machines, tea, or energy drinks. So the next slide is on the environmental pastel analysis, which will discuss some of the main things that Starbucks is impacted by in its environment, and how they can either aid or become a detriment as Starbucks pursues its international growth. First, I'll discuss the political factors. A major opportunity is that as infrastructure improvements occur, Starbucks will be able to push further into newly developed countries, which will allow them to grow their market share and create a new Starbucks experience. However, the major political threat to Starbucks as it expands internationally is the political red tape that may cause Starbucks to jump through hoops in order to operate the country. Economically, Starbucks' international strategy is aided by the growth and expansion of developing countries' economies, allowing for some disposable income that will allow Starbucks to open. Another major impact everywhere is lower unemployment, which will push income higher and allow more customers to justify spending more on coffee. Major threats are also on the rise economically speaking, as with rising labor costs. Starbucks will realize lower margins due to higher costs. With the expansion into international territory, this also is a major issue as these costs are less controllable and completely out of the hands of Starbucks. Meaning if Starbucks wants to open a store in London, they will be required to follow pay scales and hiring and firing policies of London, which would put them in a bind if they do not understand them. Lastly, if an economic slowdown occurs in the new market, or any market they are in, Starbucks will have to either eat the loss at its margin or freeze its expansion. Starbucks' sociocultural factors are all opportunities, as the growing coffee culture in the middle class is enabling Starbucks to reach more customers with more disposable income that are spending money on coffee instead of at home. The growth in meetings and gatherings, such as a study session or just reading, is becoming a norm in society. Starbucks needs to focus on its international sociocultural and understand what each culture is expecting from a coffee shop. Technology-wise, Starbucks has found great growth in their mobile app usage and its creation of the Starbucks app, which has helped reach new knowledge about its customers and growth in its customer relationship management. Something competitors are finding pretty hard to do. However, a major threat of technology-wise is the growth in do-it-yourself-at-home products, which allows customers to create specific and specialty coffee drinks at home, which sometimes is at the fraction of a cost. Ecologically, Starbucks needs to continue to focus on being green and continue to recycle. In some countries, this is not only expected but required. Starbucks also is threatened with the cost increase of environmental impacts that may destroy or impact coffee bean production. Lastly, the legal factors affecting Starbucks is the opportunity of safety regulations on product and ingredients which Starbucks is already participating in, and the threat of employment regulations. As it pursues international expansion, the political and legal issues of employment law will be a huge damper on its expansion, as it will have to learn and maintain international law in its hiring as well as its day-to-day operations. Overall, the external environment seems to almost favor Starbucks with its goal of international growth. With the industry, there are many different tastes, and in order to thrive internationally, Starbucks will need to understand many different cultures, as it is important that Starbucks maintains good connections with cultural, knowledgeable individuals for this reason. With a focus on rivalry, Starbucks needs to pursue its strategy as quickly as possible to capture market share quickly and establish itself. Lastly, it needs to understand how each culture will react with substitutes to Starbucks coffee, an example being tea instead of coffee. Starbucks is also affected by its internal environment, and in some ways, this is probably the area that it has the best opportunity, as it can control many of these. A major area that Starbucks excels in is its value chain, where its major supply chain system that acts as a global logistical system for delivering coffee all over the world is an efficiency creator that is a major reason for Starbucks' success. Starbucks can expand more easily into international markets, knowing it can manage its deliveries in-house. Other reasons the internal environment is important is the fact that Starbucks has managed a core competency around differentiation, which is the case of the industry. It is an important factor, especially when creating a high-margin coffee drink for its customers. This differentiation also steps into the competitive strategy, as it is the main reason Starbucks is successful, because it has created a product that focuses not only simply on coffee, but instead on the customer involvement in the Starbucks experience. Other internal environmental factors that Starbucks can use to pursue its can use to pursue its international expansion is the way it is used relative diversification for its products, which the purchase of Teavana, a tea specialty store, Evolution Harvest, a granola bar company, pushing into other markets besides coffee. This is allowing it to become more than just a morning routine thing. For the SWOT analysis, which is a great way to see at a high level the major factors affecting Starbucks. Some of the strengths are their brand image and global supply chain. I'm sure a lot of people, when you hear Starbucks, they automatically know coffee, specialty drinks, great customer service. Some weaknesses are the price point, which the more in depth you get with a drink, the more pricier they can get. The large number of stores. Some opportunities are their international expansion and the retail partnerships they make. And some threats are the independent coffee shops, margin, low cost attack, and the global good regulation. So the internal environment versus strategy. For value chain, using its value chain, especially with a focus on a logistics system that was created, will allow Starbucks to create efficiencies that can save money as it expands internationally. Globalization. Starbucks needs to continue to use globalization in order to expand internationally, with the focus being on successfully implementing cultural and political connections in order to reduce the issues that come with U.S. companies expanding internationally. And the organizational structure. The organizational structure is a great way to use things such as the geographical hierarchy, as well as a division separation to the advantage of Starbucks in order to reduce cultural clashes or legal or ethical dilemmas caused by unadapted strategies. For Starbucks to be successful with its international expansion, it needs to expand rapidly into international markets using knowledgeable managers in the local markets that it is attempting to get into and cost-cutting techniques with its logistical system. Use of diversification to produce better products that mimic what is culturally appropriate, such as Teavana for tea consumption countries, and alcoholic beverages options where appropriate. Lastly, and most importantly, is to use its already set up organizational structure to its advantage. In order to expand internationally while reducing the cultural and political and ethical dilemmas, Starbucks needs to study each market, products, and teams in order to produce good customer sentiment and a specialized Starbucks experience for each culture. Through this, Starbucks will be able to correctly implement research and development into the correct areas and divide and conquer the various issues throughout its organizational structure. As can be seen from the regional revenue breakdown, Starbucks has been implementing its international expansion, and it can be seen through its revenue growth from 1.14 to 4.47 billion for China and Asia, and an increase of 0.72 to 1.05 for Europe. This is important to see in order to establish that Starbucks has been successful in creating revenue in the various markets. With continued effort in expanding internationally, we should see a setup in the Europe and China-Asia market and expect to see diversified revenues in the future. Overall, it is important to see consistent growth in revenue and net income. As can be seen, revenue increased from 16.4 billion to 24.7 billion from 2014 to 2018. Moreover, net income increased from 2.058 billion to 4.5 billion. With continued focus on international expansion, Starbucks will continue to see massive growth and establish itself as an industry leader in all markets. So, thank you for watching, everybody. And I hope next time when you stop into a coffee shop, whether it's Starbucks or your local coffee shop, that you are treated as more than just a sale. Thank you. And here are my references. All right, thanks again.